Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Nice to see you all here today. This month is all about abundantly giving, so we can abundantly receive more love, more joy, just more of everything good in our world, right? And who doesn't want that? So we have been doing, this will be the third week now, we've been sharing this same Holmes quote, and I'd like to get it up here on the screen so you can appreciate it. And it is, life is an internal giving us the offering of the cosmic self to the joy of its own fulfillment. You and I are part of this joy, and we find fulfillment only as this joy passes through us to others. Everything moves in circles. We short-circuit our own good when we refuse to pass it on. Now, I don't think there's any short-circuiting going on in this community whatsoever. But I think sometimes we feel a little lack in different areas of our life, right? And that's where we're going to put more love and more joy and more laughter so that it's all abundant, all abundant. There's a 19th century Indian poet, Tagore, and he wrote, "I dreamt that life was joy. I woke and life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy." Not lovely? You never know where your good is coming from, where your joy is coming from. You just never know. Because it comes from everywhere where we are willing to see it and accept it, as well as give it. Think about the idea, actually think about this fact. God, Spirit, the universe, whatever you call it, that very thing itself, is the ultimate giver, unconditionally, completely, unreservedly. Think about it. That giving of itself to its creation is how it thrives and experiences its creation. It's how it celebrates its creation. It's by giving, not only creating it, but celebrating how it enjoys itself. And we are each its creation. And we are each part of the creating. So at the very heart of it all, we are also built to be unconditional givers. And I would like to add, unconditional receivers. Because that's the circle. It's the give and it's the receive. And we, all of us, need to be better at both pieces of the giving unconditionally from the heart and of receiving unconditionally. Even if it's a compliment and we say, "Oh, not a big deal." No, it's a big deal. It's a big enough deal for you to get a compliment. So it's about giving and it's about receiving. And it's about knowing that we are that divine expression and giving in our own unique ways. So it's not about people telling you how to give, what to give. If somebody's telling you what to give, it's probably their own mirror. Each of us gets to decide how we give, where we give. And we're expanding, right? We're always expanding when we give from that place of the heart, openly, not expecting anything back, but just giving for the sake of giving. So we've been using a little parable. It's a book that's actually, it's a book for business, right? It's how to succeed in business. But I will tell you that any good how to succeed in business book is really a how to succeed in life book, right? Because when we apply those principles to ourselves and to our families and to our loved ones and to our neighborhood and to our community, that right there is all of our bottom line, right? It's not just numbers. The bottom line in life for me, and I think for most of us, is how well it's lived. I mean, it sounds so simple, doesn't it? It's how well it's lived. And that truly is the bottom line. When we can close our eyes at night and be thankful for who we are, how we gave, how we received, knowing that all is well in our relationships, all is well in our family, all is well with our health, all is well from that place of that unique individualized expression. Because despite appearances, that's the truth. That is the truth. We just have to accept that truth and know that that bottom line is truly wonderful. It's robust. It can go through the roof if we allow it to. And that's what we're talking about. So last week, Reverend Joanne looked at the first two laws, the law of value and the law of compensation. And the basic idea there was that the more we give, the more we pay it forward, the more we are willing to see beyond our own what's in it for me idea, the more freely it flows from us, and the more freely it flows to us. And we set an intention, and we were given an assignment, right, to go out and be those givers of our time and our talents. And because that intention was set, I don't know how you did this week, but I know, because we all set that intention, that there were ways presented to you to give in new fashions that you may not even remember. But they were there. And you probably also saw more people giving around you, right? You saw a little bit more love and a little bit more laughter in your world. Because it's always there, it's just not what we're focusing on. But when we set an intention, it does show up. It really does. So it was all about giving lovingly, giving from that place of joy, and giving unexpectedly. So I had a great week, and I got to see a whole lot of examples of joyful giving. And here's one that will surprise all of us, including me, who does not watch college ball at all. But the head coach of the Illinois State University football team, they had a big win. They had the first win that they've ever had in the Big Ten. I think it's still called Big Ten. Anyway, they beat out Notre Dame, believe it or not. This little bitty team. And the coach was interviewed, and he talked about how they all knew that they had next to no chance of beating Notre Dame, right? I mean, come on, it's Notre Dame. They're just Illinois State. So, but he asked the players to give it their all. And he volunteered. He stated clearly that he was going to do the best job of coaching he's ever done during this game. That was his commitment. That was his give, so to speak. And lo and behold, they won, like, at the very last few minutes or seconds or however it goes in a football game. But they won. By some crazy way, they won. And they did a great job of thanking the Notre Dame players, and the coaches exchanged, good wishes and all of those great things. But later that week, the coach from Illinois called the coach at Notre Dame. He's a first-year college coach, right? This is his first year coaching college ball. And he shared with him some of the observations that he made that allowed him to change his approach to the game, right? Allowed him to change his coaching to take full advantage of these small little things that he observed. And he just wanted the Notre Dame coach, and he did it from a place of love. He just wanted this coach to know, you know, he told him, I've been at this for a while, and I just want to share with you some things that I think you might find useful. How is that from giving beyond, right? I mean, who does that in football or in any kind of sport? But I was like, man, this was like a great guy. Of course, he was crying during this whole interview, but that's another story for another day. But the idea, just the idea, when we start looking for ways that people are giving more than they expect to receive, and they're giving from that place of the heart, when we set an intention to start looking for that, man, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. So now we go to the third and the fourth law, which is basically about genuinely caring about meeting the needs of others and then showing up authentically. I mean, does that sound like science of mind in action or what? It's so interesting that when we look at these two laws, it could be right out of any textbook. So the idea is our influence and our abundance are determined by ourselves. We get to decide that. It's how we abundantly can place other people's needs first because we know, right, that our needs are met. We have that faith of knowing that the universe always provides. The universe always supports. We don't need to know how, right? We just need to be in the flow. And the easiest way to get in that flow is to give authentically, like authentically from the heart. And when we give of ourselves, of our true selves, of our authentic selves, when we give from that place, the doors that open are unbelievable. Because we really are putting notice out to the universe. I'm here. I'm doing my thing. I'm being me. Thank you very much. I am ready to receive. Right? It's all about being ready to receive. And knowing that at the very core of our life, it's all about circulation and it's all about energy. And when we give, for me, anyway, when I give, and I do so from that place of just being joyful and loving, I know my vibration goes up. I know it does. Because I just feel lighter. I feel happier. And at that vibrational level, new doors open and new people show up. And old people show up in new ways. And things just get better. Have you noticed that in your life? When you're in that mode of I'm loving me and I'm loving the world and I'm ready to show it and give it away. Have you noticed how when we get to that place, we just start attracting more of that good in our way? It is if the giving stops being transactional and it starts becoming transformational. We're transforming into a greater expression of ourselves because our true essence is on display. And the real me can give from a much higher place than the corporate me or the neighbor me or the whatever me, right? Whatever mask I'm putting on. when I take all of those off and I give from my authentic place, I have so much more to give. Because I believe we all tend to shortchange ourselves, that we don't have enough to give. There's not enough time, there's not enough money, I don't have enough talent. They're going to think I'm crazy. Who am I to think that a compliment from me is going to make anybody feel any better, right? We shortchange ourselves. But our authentic self, when we suit up and we show up with warts and all, right? With all of it. With all of it. When we show up that way, we're giving other people permission to show up that way themselves as well. Think about it. We have a neighbor up the street, and when we walk the dogs, we usually run into her, and she's usually doing yard work or has been doing yard work because she loves it. And she's always got on like a raggedy T-shirt, right? And she's always apologizing for these raggedy T-shirts. And the other day, I was like, Vicki, you're doing yard work. You're not supposed to be like, wearing pearls right now. But she does every single time, right, Jeff? She like apologizes. Oh, and you caught me again in my raggedy T-shirt. Well, okay, yes. I did, I guess. I don't know. But the point is that sometimes you just want to be out in public in a raggedy T-shirt, and that's okay, because sometimes it's where you are. But when we are willing to own it, then we've got so much more space to give, because that stuff isn't in our head, taking up space in our head, right? We are perfection. We're just perfection as we are. And when we set an example, when we know that we're setting an example of how others can authentically show up, man, how powerful is that? How is that for being a transformation agent in this world? I mean, think about it. Think of the ways we can. How we can inspire and uplift and serve. How we can genuinely be invested in ourselves and in others. In the New Testament, Jesus tells his disciples, "But whoever would be great among you must be your servant." That's the idea of we mirror, right? We mirror each other. And people who are in power, people with a certain level of authority should be of service to all of us, right? I mean, yes, we're in service when we're dealing with a customer, right? But we're also in service when we're dealing with our family and our friends and our pets, right? I mean, think about all of the ways you serve. And those are the things that make you great and make other people want to ask you, how do you do it? Don't you love it when somebody says, "Why are you so happy?" I love it when people are like, "You're just so darn nice. How can you be so nice?" And I'm not talking Minnesota nice. I'm talking like really nice, right? And if those of you who don't know what Minnesota nice is, you got to watch Fargo. So there's that. Anyway, when we start to just show up and be of service from that place of love, it flows. I think of Anne Sullivan. Anne Sullivan was the teacher for Helen, and Helen Keller. And she gave from her heart, right? Here, she didn't even know, where would one even start? There's not like a manual for this, right? And so she just had to start giving authentically of herself in all ways to ensure that this person who could not see and who could not hear was able to live a life. And she was so successful. And she was just being her authentic self, doing what she thought might work, right? She wasn't set out to like be some great example, but she is. And I think that's what happens to a lot of us. We build our influence by being ourselves. It's truly not about commanding or demanding. That has nothing to do with it. Our influence is how many hearts, how many lives, how many individuals do we get to love, we get to inspire, we get to care for, and we get to raise up. How many of those that we get to raise up? That's what it's about. It's about touching people's lives. That's our influence. That's how we change the whole world, just one heart at a time. Holmes reminds us, we are surrounded by an intelligent law which receives